I just released an updated version of the Do-It-Yourself Investor Toolkit, and I believe this spreadsheet is the best portfolio tracker out there. So in this video, we're going to be going over how this spreadsheet works, talking about the new updates and the new features. And like always, if you'd like to be able to download this spreadsheet or get access to any of the other ticker data spreadsheets, and also get access to the ticker data add-on in Google Sheets that allows you to automatically import stock financials straight into your spreadsheet, then you can head over to tickerdata.com at the link in the description. Now, if we jump over to tickerdata.com, if you're a premium member, you'll get access to all of the premium sheets right here. You can see this is our premium sheet library. We have more sheets that are currently being worked on that will be added very soon. But the very first option right here is going to be our ticker data portfolio tracker. So if you click here and then click go to sheet, what's going to happen is it's going to open up this spreadsheet. And of course, if you want to be able to use the spreadsheet, then you actually have to make a copy of it. Once you've done that, you're going to get access to the spreadsheet. And again, the spreadsheet is completely automated by ticker data. Let me show what I mean. If we jump over to the stocks tab, nearly all of the portfolio tracking is completely automated. Let me show you what I mean. If we zoom in just a little bit more, for example, we can see we have a list of stocks right here. Let's say that I just bought a new stock. I bought Starbucks, stock ticker SBUX, and let's say I bought 10 shares at a purchase price of $85 a share. I'm just going to enter these three metrics right here, and we can see all of this data right here is going to automatically load in. We have things like the current price, our total cost, our market value, our dollar gain, and our growth. We can see the amount the company pays out in dividends. We can see the starting dividend yield, how much we're going to get paid in dividend income from that stock, the current industry it's in, and the total return as a dollar amount and as a percentage. Now, one of the really cool features of ticker data is if we jump over to tickerdata.com, let's come up here to docs and scroll down. You can see a full list of all the exchanges we have here on tickerdata.com. We have exchanges from all across the world. For example, you can track stocks from Argentina, Austria, Belgium, Brazil, Canada, and I'm not going to go through this entire list and state each one, but if you go to tickerdata.com, you can see virtually all the major stock exchanges are included. So most portfolio tracking tools only include US stocks. So if you're an international investor, then ticker data is a phenomenal tool for you as well. Keep in mind, you can also track things like crypto and Forex. So let's add an international stock to our portfolio. Let's look at an example. Maybe we want to buy a stock from France, the Euronext Paris Exchange. The example we'll look at is going to be MC.PA. So let's go ahead and jump over to our portfolio tracker. Again, we're just going to type in MC, which is the stock, and then if we jump over to tickerdata.com, we can see in order to pull it from that exchange, all we need to do is add the extension .PA to the end of our stock ticker. So I'll come over here and plug in .PA and hit enter. Let's say we bought around 5 shares at a purchase price of, we'll say, $640 per share. Again, all this data is going to automatically load in once again. Now, here's what's really powerful about this spreadsheet. If you start tracking stocks from different places across the world, obviously, you're going to run into currency conversion problems, but this spreadsheet can account for that. What you have to do is if we jump over to the instructions tab, you can see here it says insert your purchase price in the currency that you plan on viewing your portfolio in. So in this example, I plugged in $640 because that was my purchase price in USD. And you can see all of this has already changed to USD because I've selected my currency as USD. If I wanted to see my entire portfolio in a different currency, I could just plug in the currency here. For example, maybe I want to see it in euros. I'll just plug that in here, and you can see all this data is going to automatically load in. Now again, we have to remember to plug in our purchase price in the currency that we want to see our portfolio in. So if I change this to euros, then I'm going to need to list my purchase prices in euros as well. But you can quickly see why this is such a powerful tool, whether you're tracking just US stocks or stocks from all across the world. So let's go ahead and come back up here and plug in USD right here. And again, you'll see all this data will automatically update. So from this stocks tab here, most of the data from the sheet is simply going to load in just from these 3 simple metrics that we're plugging in here. For example, if we jump over to our investment dashboard, let's go ahead and zoom out just a little bit. What we can see is we already have a lot of data here. For example, we have things like portfolio value, our cost, our gain lost, our realized gains, and our gains when we include dividends and realized gains. If we come down here, we can see how markets are moving. And if we go ahead and zoom in, let's talk about how this works. We're looking at how markets are moving over the past couple of years, and we can see how it's moving on the day right here. But we can also select different metrics that we want to see. For example, if we want to see how the Dow Jones is moving, I'll just click this button right here, and we can see Dow Jones was down slightly on the day, but obviously over the past couple of years, it's done very well. Come over here, we can see just a stock breakdown. So we're only looking at stocks. If we come down here, we can look at our crypto breakdown, and then here we can look at our cash position as well. So again, we have things like allocation, our total holdings, our cost versus market value. We have our growth in our portfolio. We have our portfolio allocation breakdown, and then we have it broken down by industry here. And then over here, we have our total win amount, which in this scenario, and in this example, it looks like it's around $1,088, and our total loss amount about $244. Now, one of the things on the sheet that wasn't controlled by the stocks tab is our future portfolio outlook, and that's because it's based off some projections that we can plug in. And we'll come back and talk about that just a little bit later in the video. But let's go ahead and talk about our dividend dashboard right here. Here on the dividend dashboard, you can see a plethora of metrics that we're tracking, things like expected yearly dividend income, all-time dividend income, my average monthly, and my portfolio dividend yield. We're tracking things like portfolio value over time, historical monthly dividend income. We have dividend income by industry and dividend yield on cost, projected annual dividend income, and then dividend income by stock. So there's plenty of useful metrics right here. Now, if we go back to the stock tab, something that I've noticed some people have concerns about is knowing what purchase price to plug in here if they bought it in a different currency. Well, to fix that, I actually added a currency converter to this spreadsheet. If we come all the way near the end, we can see right here, we have a currency converter. It's very simple and very straightforward, but it is a tool that'll help. So for example, let's say we bought something in euros and we need to know what it was in USD. I can plug in euros right here and we'll say 10 euros. We can see right here the purchase price in USD would be $10.40. We can also change what we want to see it in. Maybe we want to see it in AUD. I can plug that in here and it's going to automatically update. So again, when it comes to currency conversion on the stocks tab, we have a currency converter, very simple and very straightforward, but a very helpful tool. So along with that updates, for the new year, we updated our dividend calendars. If we come over here, scroll all the way over, you can now see we have metrics for 2025. So we're ready to start tracking our dividend income in 2025. And if we jump over to our daily dividend calendar, we now have our 2025 daily dividend calendar active and ready. And if you aren't familiar with these dividend calendars, this is data that automatically loads in based on the data that we plugged in into our dividend/portfolio recording. So example, once a month, I simply plug in the dividend payments I receive, my portfolio value at the end of the month, and my projected annual dividend income at the end of the month. And all that data will automatically load in on our dividend calendars and on my dividend dashboard. Now, if we jump over to our crypto tab, again, we can automatically trap our crypto positions. Now, I don't personally have any crypto in my portfolio, but if we come up here, let's look at an example. If we come up here and plug in BTC, and let's say that I bought one Bitcoin at a purchase price of $70,000. I'll plug that in, and again, you'll see all this data is going to automatically load in. And what's cool is if we jump over to our investment dashboard, you can see Bitcoin right here has automatically filled into our spreadsheet, again, filled in here, and we can now see our crypto position right here as well. And our allocation has changed. It's now showing 86% crypto. Come up here, we can see it showing on our portfolio diversification. So again, everything is completely automated. It makes it a very powerful tracker. But let's go ahead and come up here and remove Bitcoin once again. Now, the next thing I need to point out is our sold positions. We have a tab here for sold positions, which will help us track our realized gains and losses. So even after we exit a position, we can still see the gains on that position. So it's pretty straightforward. Let's say, for example, maybe we bought Verizon stock and we bought 10 shares at a purchase price of $35 and sold out at about $38. We can see our total amount bought, total amount sold, and our realized gains and realized loss here. And again, if we jump over to our investment dashboard, we can see it's automatically showing up here. Here's our realized gains, and it's now included in our total gain lost, which includes dividends and realized gains or losses. So pretty straightforward, but another helpful tab. Now, if we jump over to our stock watch list, this is one of the pretty cool features of this spreadsheet that I think should be used quite a bit more often. Let me go ahead and remove this to get started. Now, what we can see here is, let's go ahead and remove Pepsi. Let's say we do some research on Pepsi stock and we decide we want to add it to our watch list. What we can do is we'll come over here and plug in PEP and hit enter. And what we can see is we're going to have this data right here load in. We have the price, we have the name, and then we have some dividend metrics for the company. But then we have a signal right here. And this is telling us whether we should buy or hold the stock on our watch list. So maybe you do a stock analysis, you perform a few different valuations on the company, and you decide Pepsi has an intrinsic value of $190 per share. So you plug it in right here. So what this is telling us is we're getting a buy signal for Pepsi right now because the intrinsic value is higher than the current share price. But what we haven't done is applied a margin of safety. So what you can do is plug in all the stocks you're interested on your watch list, and it'll give you a buy signal, but you can also apply a margin of safety. So if we come up here, let's say we have a 10% margin of safety. I'll hit enter and you can see we're still getting a buy signal. Our intrinsic value plus margin of safety is about $171 per share. But if we bump this up to about a 25% margin of safety, you can now see our intrinsic value plus margin of safety price would be $142.50. So we're no longer getting a buy signal because this number is no longer higher than the current share price. So this can be a really cool way to customize your stock watch list so you can see the exact entry point and when you want to actually buy the companies on your watch list. Now, if we keep moving forward, we also have our portfolio projection tab. So if I go ahead and zoom out just a little bit, basically what we're doing is projecting how our portfolio will perform up to 30 years in the future. And it's all based off the variables that we see right here. So if we go ahead and zoom in just a bit, you can see we have things like starting portfolio size, our price growth rate projection, we have our monthly contribution, our dividend growth rate, and the starting dividend yield of our portfolio. So all you do is plug in your starting portfolio size, and then what you're going to do is decide, is this a lump sum contribution you're making to your portfolio, or are you making monthly contributions? So in most people's case, it's going to be a monthly contribution, but you can adjust this to a lump sum if you want, and the model would automatically update. But let's assume in this example, we're making $1,250 of monthly contributions and the current portfolio size is about $20,000. After analyzing your portfolio, you should be able to make an estimate as to a price growth rate and a dividend growth rate that your portfolio will achieve in the future. When it comes to starting share price, just keep that at 100. It's basically just so we can run the model. But once you've plugged in all these variables, again, the model's going to automatically update, and if we jump over, the next thing we have is our cost of living. Basically, all you need to do is plug in your current monthly cost of living and the expected average inflation rate over the next 30 years. And what it's going to allow you to do is see how your cost of living is going to increase year over year and month over month. So if your goal is to one day live off dividends like me, you're going to be able to see at which point you can achieve that by jumping over to the live off dividends analysis, because what it does is it combines our cost of living chart with our monthly dividend payments. And the point at which the red line crosses the black line is the point at which we could live off dividends forever. And we can get a pretty nice breakdown by coming over here, and it's going to tell us things like what year we're in, what the date is, what our monthly cost of living is, and what our monthly dividends is. Of course, we'll be able to see when we can live off dividends, telling us our monthly contribution, and then we can see our total contribution as well right here. We can also see the total amount we've received in dividends over time and what our account value would be. So if we start scrolling down, we can see after about 16 years right here what the metrics for all those would look like. And if we scroll down near to the end, we can see in this example, here's the point at which we would be able to live off dividends. We can see things like the total amount we'd received in dividends up to that point would be $735,000, account value would be over $2 million, and because monthly dividends is above our monthly cost of living, we would be able to live off dividends. And then of course, we jump over to our investment dashboard, we have our future portfolio outlook right here, which if we go ahead and zoom in just a little bit more, again, that's going to be derived from our portfolio projections. And what's really cool is we can look at the difference between if we don't reinvest dividends and if we do reinvest dividends over that time period. And the difference will be pretty drastic in most cases. So there you go. That's the do-it-yourself investor toolkit. That's the different features. I'm going to be posting a much more in-depth tutorial over on the Ticker Data YouTube channel. So if you decide to become a premium member over at tickerdata.com and use this spreadsheet, check out the Ticker Data YouTube channel and the tutorial over there. But with all that being said, thank you guys so much for watching, and please don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel.